Midnight in the Arctic capital. I'll take you on a surreal walk through Tromsø. But before that, we'll look around the world's northernmost town, its dark history and wildlife, all linked together by an amazing cruise along the Norwegian coast, taking in an unforgettable view of the midnight sun. Welcome to day 9 of my Hurtigruten Coastal Express cruise. We've already made 4 stops today. Next up though, a longer stop at Hammerfest, before a beautiful afternoon and evening cruise to the Arctic capital, Tromsø. As you can see, our glide into Hammerfest was a glorious one under blue skies. This video is brought to you by the Word Direction North. We're going to have a look round what claims to be the world's northernmost town, a disputed claim I'm sure, and then a little bit later on we're going to have a walk around one of the northernmost cities as well. Before we start the tour of the town, your question for this video. We'll see a few reindeer when in Hammerfest, but how many are there in the whole of Norway?
You better start counting very high.
Our first stop, easy to get to from the ship by foot if you're not doing an excursion, is the Struve Geodetic Arc. I know, quite a mouthful. It's part of a chain of survey triangulations that have been used to establish the exact size and shape of the Earth. It's been made a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Just when you're about walking in town, what do you come across but a reindeer? They really weren't bothered by us humans. It was then a 10-minute drive up to a view over the town. As we make it, I probably need to explain Hammerfest's claim to be the world's northernmost town. You may well think of Longyearbyen on Svalbard, or even Honningsvåg, which we visited on a previous video, which is near the North Cape. Now, according to the Norwegians, a town has to have a population of more than 5,000. Neither Longyearbyen or Honningsvåg do. So do you agree? Is this the right claim for Hammerfest to make? Let me know in the comments below. Maybe there's another town I've not even mentioned that you think should count as the world's northernmost town.
Somehow they are wrong.
Like a lot of other parts of Norway, Hammerfest endured a turbulent time during the Second World War. Its museum marks that, but also its recovery to the town you see today. After telling the story of its early history, the museum focuses on the huge impact on the area of the occupation by Nazi Germany. However, as the museum's name suggests, it then goes on to celebrate the rebirth of this area in the years that have followed. The museum, if you're in town, certainly worth a couple of minutes of your time. It gives the recent history, the impact particularly of World War II and the area's rebuilding after World War II into what we see today. So certainly if you're in town for a while, it's worth a bit of your time. But I have got to get back to the boat because we're on our way again, heading towards a slightly bigger town, in fact a city, Tromsø. You may want to organise your own sightseeing trip when in Hammerfest. However, we were only ashore for 1 hour and 45 minutes, so took the excursion. As ever on my videos, I'll try and tell you how much everything costs. So this was the cost of the trip that you've just seen. Being on a Hurtigruten cruise, the greatest attraction is always the magnificent Norwegian countryside you cruise past. So settle back for some highlights for the cruise from Hammerfest down to Tromsø just before midnight. Under the pink-orange gaze of the midnight sun, we slipped into Tromsø. If you'd like to see what this area looks like from those heights and what it's like inside the Arctic Cathedral, a link to my time here in Tromsø earlier in the cruise is on the screen now. If you're enjoying taking in this magnificent scenery, there's still plenty more videos from my time in Norway to come. To keep up to date with them, hit subscribe to the channel now. You have to admit, it was a pretty stunning arrival into Tromsø, and I'm saving the best bit for last. The sun not quite setting and breaking through the mist just above the city. Well worth staying tuned for. But before that, don't scroll on.
But I want to do something different.
I'm going to take you through a quick walk through the town. It is about 10 to midnight at the moment, and we're going to go in search of one of Norway's most famous sons and two things that have remembered his contribution to Norway and to the world. Join me. The famous son, Roald Amundsen, Norwegian explorer, first to reach the South Pole in 1911 and first to navigate the Northwest Passage. He pioneered polar exploration and contributed significantly to Arctic and Antarctic expeditions. That behind me is the first of two statues, monuments, whatever you want to call them, that are here in the city for Roald Amundsen. If you live here, if you've been here, you're probably thinking, Michael, you really could have gone to the other one first. But I want to get back to the boat, so let's go and see the second reference to a famous Norwegian. As we make our way back across town to the other statue for Roald Amundsen, I'd just like to point out, in case you've forgotten, it's just gone midnight here. This sky around is still taking some getting used to just how bright it is in the middle of the night. Wouldn't you know it? Another more contemporary reference to Amundsen within about 100 metres of that bus that we just saw. What's that, you say? You'd expect to hear seagulls in Tromsø? Yeah, you can hear lots and lots of seagulls. One thing I'd also say, walking around the city at 20 past midnight, is it's a lot busier, I think, than you'd find in the UK or the USA at this time of night. And we're not talking about clubbers, we're just talking about people out and about, walking around of all ages. The seagulls are just about everywhere. just before we see Mr. Amundsen one final time, let's just take a look at a special building here. Oh, and how many reindeer are there in Norway? Between 200 and 220,000. This is Tromsø Cathedral. It's the northernmost Protestant cathedral in the world, and it's made from wood. It was built back in 1861. That behind me is the cathedral for this city, but I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, what about the Arctic Cathedral? Well, I went to it in a video earlier on this channel, and if you did miss it, what we found out is actually, though it's called a cathedral, it's a mere church. That is the cathedral for this city. And as if to prove I went the long way around to get to this final reference to Amundsen, you can see there's my ship that I've come in on, and here is the statue of Amundsen. Quite appropriately, the statue looks out to the harbour. Oh, and I haven't forgotten, here is the beautiful midnight sun. If you'd like to see another video of us chasing the midnight sun, a link to that is on the screen now.